Everyone thinks good defending is about tackling and being aggressive. But that's exactly why most players keep getting beaten. In fact, the world's best defenders barely tackle at all. I'm about to show you what they do instead, and it's going to change your entire game. I've broken down 5 different defensive tactics that will transform you into an absolute wall on defense. These aren't just random tips. It is a complete system that will change how you defend forever. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I will give you a free training guide with defensive training drills. So let's get on to the video. Tactic number 1. Master your defensive stance. I bet you didn't know that 80% of defenders get beaten because of their poor stance. Your stance is literally the foundation of everything you do as a defender. Most players focus on fancy techniques while completely missing this core fundamental. Your defensive stance isn't just about how you stand. It's a whole system of body positioning that gives you maximum control and reaction speed. Think of it as your defensive command center. When you get this right, you'll feel like you can move in any direction instantly. So let's break down each section of the perfect defensive stance. Foot positioning. Keep one foot slightly behind the other and stay on the balls of your feet. Never let your heels touch the ground while defending. Staying on the balls of your feet keeps you ready to move instantly. Keep your feet shoulder width apart. Too wide and you'll be slow to move. Too narrow and you'll lose balance easily. The perfect width is when you can draw a straight line from your shoulders to your feet. You never want to let your feet come together. This is crucial. The moment your feet come together, you become vulnerable. Always maintain that shoulder width distance even when moving sideways. Body position. Bend your knees. Most defenders stand too straight. Your knees should be bent enough that you can't see your toes when you look down. This lower center of gravity is important for quick direction changes. Keep your back straight and arms out slightly. This helps with balance and makes you appear bigger to attackers. Just don't raise them too high, otherwise you're asking for a foul. Tactic number 2, master distance control. Here's something crazy. 90% of goals come from defenders being at the wrong distance from their attacker. If you get too close, you'll get beaten easily. And if you stay too far, you're giving them time to pick you apart. Master this and you'll instantly become harder to beat. It's not just about staying a certain distance away. It's about knowing exactly how close or how far to be in every situation. The pros adjust their distance constantly based on multiple factors. That being said, there are 3 distances you need to master. One of those is pressing distance. This is usually about 1 to 2 feet or about arm's length away. You should use this distance when an attacker has a bad touch. The moment you see them take a heavy touch or lose control, close this distance immediately. You have about a 1-second window to take advantage of this. Another instance is when an attacker receives the ball with their back to your goal. This is your chance to get tight and prevent them from turning around. You can also use this distance when you have defensive cover. Only press this close when you have a teammate that can cover you if you get beaten. This gives you the confidence to be aggressive. The next distance is the containment distance, which is about 3 to 4 feet, and this is perfect for most 1v1 situations. This is your default defending distance. It gives you enough time to react while still being close enough to make a tackle. When an attacker is facing you at this distance, you can see their whole body and read their movements better. You can also use this distance when you need to delay. For example, when you're waiting for teammates to get back into position. And the last distance you need to master is recovery distance, which is 5 feet or more. Use this when facing fast players. Give yourself extra space against speed merchants. It's better to have time to react than to get burned for pace. Also use this when you have lots of space behind you. When there's no defensive cover, stay deeper to prevent getting beaten over the top. Another instance to use this is when you need to buy time. Perfect when you're outnumbered and waiting for support from your teammates. Tactic number 3, the art of reading the game. The difference between good and great defenders isn't physical, it's actually mental. Reading the game is like having a cheat code that tells you what's going to happen before it happens. Most defenders only watch the ball, but the real game happens before the ball even moves. It's understanding patterns and predicting movements. Think of it like being a chess player, always thinking 3 moves ahead. When you master this, you'll start intercepting passes and stopping attacks before they even start. That being said, let me teach you the 3-point focus system. First, we have hip reading. Watch the hip, not the feet. The feet can lie to you with fancy moves, but the hips always show where a player is really going. This is your primary focus point. Also, you want to notice weight shift. When an attacker leaves one way, they're likely going the opposite direction. Their hips will tell you this before anything else moves. Next, also be sure to track hip rotation. Yeah, I know. It's a lot of hip watching, but it's important. Trust me. If their hips open up, they're likely to pass. If they stay square, expect a shot or continue dribbling. All right, the second point is space scanning. Be sure to check over both shoulders every 6 to 8 seconds. This isn't just random looking. You're gathering important information. And if you watch the pros, they're scanning like 24/7, dude. But when you do this, you want to make sure that you map each player's positioning. He's offside, but I know he's there. I'll just let him be. Know where every attacking player is, even when you can't see them. Build a mental map and update it constantly. Another thing to do while you're looking is identify danger zones. Empty spaces behind you or between defenders are where attacks develop. Know where these spaces are at all times. And the last thing is body language. A forward lean means a sprint. When an attacker leans forward suddenly, they're about to explode into a sprint. So get ready. A suddenly dropped shoulder usually means they're going the opposite way, so don't fall for the fake. Head movement shows passing. Quick head turns often telegraph where they're going to pass. Use this to position yourself for an interception. Tactic number 4, the patience principle. Want to know the biggest mistake defenders make? They think they need to win every ball. This aggressive mindset is exactly what skilled attackers want. They'll use your eagerness against you. Master patience and you'll start forcing attackers into making mistakes instead of making them yourself. The patience principle is about controlling the situation without always trying to win the ball. Think of it like a chess game. Sometimes the best move is to wait for your opponent to make a mistake. So what I want you to do is use the 70-30 rule. 70% containment. Force attackers wide by using your body position to show them the sideline. Don't try to win the ball. Just guide them where you want them to go. The sideline becomes your extra defender. Also, be sure to maintain proper distance. Keep that perfect 3 to 4 foot distance we talked about earlier. This gives you time to react while still putting pressure on the attacker. Next, I want you to always stay goal side. Always position yourself between the attacker and your goal. This seems obvious, but many defenders get caught on the wrong side trying to win the ball. And lastly, I want you to make them play backwards. Use your positioning to cut off forward passes. When attackers have to play backwards, your team can reorganize and press as a unit. Now, the 30% is going to be active defending by using perfect timing indicators. So let me tell you these indicators. One of these is a heavy touch by an attacker. When you see that ball, get away from them, even just slightly. That's your moment to step in, but only if you're 100% sure you can win the ball. Another indicator is when they have their back turned to you. If they can't see you, they can't protect the ball effectively. This is the perfect moment to win possession. The next indicator is when they're against the sideline. Once you have forced them wide, they have fewer options, and the sideline becomes your friend, limiting their movement. All right, and the last indicator is an obvious pass telegraph. Make sure you watch their body language, and when they're clearly about to pass, that's your chance to intercept and step in. Tactic number 5, physical presence mastery. Your body is your most powerful defensive weapon, but most defenders use it completely wrong. They either use too much physical contact and foul, or they're too scared to use any contact at all. Master this and you'll control attackers. That being said, physical presence isn't about being aggressive. It's about using your body intelligently to control space and movement. So let's go ahead and talk about this. For the body positioning, you want to go ahead and use a defensive stance that we went over in the beginning of the video. For your movement patterns, you should be doing small, quick steps. Never take big strides. Only take small steps because they keep you balanced and ready to change direction. You'll also never want to cross your feet. Crossing your feet is like pressing your own self-destruct button. Keep them apart and be sure to remember to stay on the balls of your feet. This keeps you ready to move in any direction instantly. Now make sure you're moving in angles rather than straight lines. This keeps your defensive position while closing space. Now let's go over the legal contact points. One of those is shoulder to shoulder. This is your primary contact point. Use it when the attacker is within touching distance. Another is upper arm protection. Keep your arms close but active. Use them to protect yourself and maintain balance. And the other one is hip positioning. Your hips can be used to block paths and guide attackers. Position them between the attacker and where they want to go. Remember, defending isn't about being aggressive or making tackles. It's about control, patience, and intelligence. Use these 5 tactics in your next game and I guarantee you'll see immediate improvements. Also, remember what I said at the beginning of the video? Yeah, bro, you remember. Flashback.
I will give you a free training guide with defensive training drills.
Flash forward. Cool. So, I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word. I've left the link in the description with the free training guide with defensive training drills to get better at your defense. That's if you want it though. But it's free. But I'm not done yet. Because yes, knowing all these tactics, they're super useful. They're going to make you an outstanding defender. The thing is, there's another part to being a defender. and that's being fast. So if you want to learn how to become the fastest defender on the pitch, click the video on screen now.